Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy this morning. Good morning, Hartwell.
Good morning, Kris.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
This morning, our topic is the head center. So I just laugh because one of the realizations that I had through doing all of this is I have both of these centers, which are pressure centers. I said, no wonder I feel like I'm going to explode sometime. So it was kind of opening for me. So can you please start with maybe saying how we understand the experience of the head center? What is that experience like?
Well, sure, but I also want to come back to that comment you just made.
Of course you do. You never let me get away with anything.
No, I don't. The head center, yeah, it's a pressure center, and really, it's all about. In esoteric studies, people often talk about the evolutionary pressure and the involutionary pressure. Have you heard those terms?
I have not.
So involutionary is the pressure to incarnate within one's body, to bring the spiritual down into the physical.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yes, and evolutionary is the desire of life to expand in all sorts of new forms.
Mm-hmm.
So the pressure from the root is evolutionary, as I understand it, and the pressure from the head is involutionary. Spirit trying to get deeper into matter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm riffing. I haven't heard that anywhere, but it's so this pressure is the pressure to know, to understand, to make sense out of the confusion of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it is initiated by the pressure center of the head.
Mm-hmm.
And it, in a sense, it forces us to think. We can't get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And those people who are defined in the head are the ones that they have that job.
Can I give it away? Just kidding. I'm just joking this morning. I'm feeling a little bit of pressure, you can tell, because I'm like, yeah, I'd like to give it away once in a while.
Well, to kind of modify what you said, your very first comment, the people that are under the greatest pressure are the people that don't have it defined. Why is that? You experience a continual pressure, yes, because you have the root and the head defined. That's a continual pressure to be thinking. But the thing is, it also means you're designed to handle it. So the people who have undefined roots and undefined heads, they're put under pressure by the people they come in contact with, and they're not designed to handle it. So they're the ones that can't deal with the stress. You can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Does that make sense to you, Kris?
Well, it makes sense to me, but does it make it feel any less stressful? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to think about. When we operate in alignment through strategy and authority, then the pressure of the head becomes a place of potential wonder in life, where you're the one who gets to be the one who inspires everybody around you because you're coming up with and stimulating people to think, to consider these different ideas and people enjoy that. People love that. So anybody with a defined head is going to, if they pay attention, they're going to notice how everybody wants to talk with them and get stimulated by them. And all of a sudden, thoughts start firing like popcorn.
Right. Yeah. Co-creative. Yeah. Ideas. Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. But one thing that's intriguing to think about in this respect is that the head is on one end of the body graph. It's at the very top. And it's not connected to anything except for the ajna. So that means that the head both head centers don't get connected to a motor, so they're not meant to be acted upon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to kind of get a grip on what that really means, but it means that, for one thing, it really means is that we need to make sure that we're not giving our head or ajna, or the head centers in talking about them both collectively, authority to rule over our lives.
Mm.
So it's kind of intriguing that way. What is hardest to sort out in my mind, and I can, is, okay, if our mind is not meant to be an authority, what is it supposed to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, what's its purpose then?
Well, its purpose is to seek understanding about things, to evolve our thoughts, to evolve our knowledge. And there's a wonder in that, and there's amazingness in that, but it's not meant to be made to make our decisions based upon it. So our logic or our finding meaning from past experience, this is not meant to inform our decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cool.
so the difficulty in talking about this, and I'm finding it difficult, I've been, I'm studying the manuals and reading the books and preparing for this, and I have undefined head centers, and it's like, I'm still finding it difficult to talk about this. And you know why I think that is?
Because I'm not there.
Well, actually, I am defined by the transits today. I'm defined by the transits for a while right now. So we should have some very inspirational talks coming up for a while. The North Node, transiting North Node is in gate 23, one of the gates at the throat, which links to the ajna, through the channel there. But I think what makes it difficult to grapple with is that the not self mind is so powerful.
Well, exactly how does it show up when it's in that not self role? The mind, when it's in that not self role, how does it show up? What does that look like?
Well, that's all that we know, Kris. It shows up as us doubting and being confused and trying to make decisions from our mind and trying to figure it out. You see this permanent crease here?
Yeah, trying to make sense. I got two. Haha. You got one, I got two.
Everything most of what we experience of as mind is not self-mind. You see, because when you do not follow your strategy, then you don't have any ability to tap into your inner authority. So what fills that gap?
Right.
The not self-mind fills that gap and tries to make decisions for all of the centers that are undefined. How can I get self-worth? How can I make myself heard? How can I relieve the pressure from my life? How can I feel good? How can I, how can I avoid, these painful emotions that I'm experiencing? And then the mind gets filled. Our thoughts get filled with all sorts of concerns that aren't really ours. We are not meant to be giving them all this attention.
Right.
So, for instance, the undefined mind hanging out with people who have it defined, like you, we might be trying to be certain, pin down, okay, I got to figure this out. I got to figure life out. And it's like, if I just figure it out, then I will know how to live well. Well, you're not going to know how to live well if you're not following strategy and authority.
Right.
Your mind will never be the solution to your feeling that you are living in alignment.
Right.
See how tricky it is? There's
But
almost,
even the strategies and authorities I find are tricky because, like you say, for example, a generator is to respond. But
Yeah.
then there's times where you're not supposed to give things your attention, or you're not supposed to take things up. So when you look at things really black and white, it can be very confusing, I find, anyways.
Well, when we're talking about response for the
Mhm.
generator, for instance, it's about taking the approach that I need to respond to life rather than initiate. And when I
Mhm.
do that, which opportunities catch my attention,
Yeah, there's still a
energetically
discernment. Yeah.
speaking.
Mhm.
Yes. But it's not that works. You and I have been using the word discernment a lot lately. Discernment
Mhm.
is not simply from the mind,
Mhm.
right? Because most people, if they think discern, they think, oh, I got to think about it really hard.
Right.
That's not discernment. I mean,
Mhm.
not in the context of human design.
Mhm.
Discern means, are you listening?
Mhm. And
Are
for
you
some
getting in
people
touch
that
with your are you listening? Are you getting in touch with your own energy and the way that it relates to life?
it's almost like you feel into it. Like, does it feel in alignment? Does it, like, because we're meant to be feeling beings and sensory beings. So, like, that feeling, like, does this really work for me? Is this something that I'm really drawn to? But when I hear respond, I think, yes, no, I have to respond in some manner. That's what I was saying about, for me, like at first it was very black and white. I was just thinking I had to
Right.
respond in some
Well, if
way.
I say to you, do you want to go to a movie on Monday night?
Mhm.
That's something to respond to, but it's not telling you what the response should be. Your
Right.
response could be a no,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it is not response. Often the response is going to be no. If your sacral or
Hmm.
whatever, your inner authority is saying, no, I have no energy
Right.
for that, no desire for that.
Exactly.
So yes, the spleen, the sacral, and the solar plexus authority,
Hmm.
these are sensory experiences, and most people in the world have one of those three as the authority.
Hmm.
So if you are making your decisions based upon your mind, you're being not self, and you're
Hmm.
empowering your not self mind to keep you in chaos, to be in this never ending chaos of confusion, doubt, and not knowingness.
Right. Exactly. So, what is the golden rule of the head?
I don't know. What did I put in my notes?
It is not about doing, it's about reviewing. So,
Yeah. So to put that a little bit differently, maybe. This is where this underlines the point that we've been making today, which is that meditative and yogic disciplines become really important,
mhm.
especially if we're somebody who needs those to help us stay in the present and in connection with our own physical organism.
Right.
Because they call our attention away from the head and down to our body and down to our heart,
Hmm.
right? So often people they might say, drop your head into your heart.
Hmm.
Um, Part of what they're saying is drop your head
Hmm.
and enter back into your felt experience.
Right.
So that's why, the head is whatever you're thinking is not about informing you about what to do, but you can use it to review things and to potentially have greater understanding of that.
Kind of sort through data, like
Yes.
like it,
Yeah.
or review your life as it's going by in order to make sense of things, I guess, is what you would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What human design often says is that mind can be useful for being an outer authority, for
Right.
talking about things. So
Mhm.
if I'm a teacher, for instance, we're doing this interview right now. My mind can be useful for conveying information to other people,
Mhm.
but it's not useful when it comes to me making a decision in my life for my life.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe we should dive in here to the different gates that make up the head.
Sure. Well, there's only 3, so that makes
Mhm.
our job here a little bit easier today.
Mhm.
Gate 63, the gate of doubt, is the pressure that initiates the logical stream of thoughts in the
Mhm.
world, logical, scientific, pattern-based thinking.
Mhm.
So logic is always looking to discover the pattern in life.
Mhm.
How do things work? And this is the channel that is most inclined to ask questions. Why this, why that, which is,
Wow.
you have that, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
So
why are you doing that?
it's the pressure to understand things. Oh, I need to understand this.
Especially, what would make somebody do something like that? That tends to be one of my big questions.
Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, well, they're probably just doing it because they're deeply in their not self.
Yeah, but it's like I always ask that question: why would somebody do that? So that's
Uh-huh.
just part of my design to ask that kind of question, I guess, right?
Yes. But to also form logical, sort of come up with hypotheses about, okay, I think it might be this, and then it can be testable. So the whole stream of logic is about testable patterns. Now, the gate on the far left is the gate of confusion, and it pushes us to resolve our confusion by coming up with realizations and ideas.
Mhm.
Um, this is where we make sense of the past and try and resolve what has happened in the past and make sense out of it.
Mhm.
Make sense, make meaning out of it.
Mhm.
So gate 63, the gate of doubt, and the logic channel is future oriented. It wants
Mhm.
to figure things out for the sake of the future. 63 is about 64 rather is about making sense out of the past, the gate of
Right.
confusion in that channel. And the middle channel is called the gate of mystery. And it's the pressure, it's kind of the Gnostic channel, the one that knows things directly. So it's a pressure to investigate the mysteries of life
Mhm.
and see if some kind of clarity or some kind of insight can arise from that.
Right.
It's the pure pressure, it's the pressure to understand something new, to bring something new into the world, to understand the mysteries, to
Mhm.
somehow reach for and grab a piece of the unknown and bring it into the known and make it
Mhm.
knowable. So it's the
Right.
pressure to know things.
Awesome. Yeah. So, like, if you had the, we spoke before about resolution. Is that the doubt and confusion together? Like you were saying, there was one channel that was doubting all the time, and the other one was trying to resolve it or figure it out. Is that the two in the head?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when
Okay.
you have a strong experience of confusion all the time, and
Mhm.
a sort of constant stream of images from the past and memories from your horrible marriage and all of that the stuff, that is that kind of stream of, it has to do with the stream of experience,
Oh,
right?
okay. Hmm.
How can we resolve and bring meaning out of our experiences?
Right.
But the channel of logic isn't interested. It's not about the past.
Yeah.
It's about the future. It's about how can we discover solutions to the problems that we have and move into the future in a more detailed, organized, logical, scientific way. How can we test, oh, okay, how do we, solve the problem of the epidemic of drug use in our
Hmm.
society? Oh, let's come up with some ideas, some hypotheses about how we might do that.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the head because there was only three gates, so it was a pretty short one. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Do you have a topic for next week yet, or is that to be
We'll do
determined?
the last center next week, which is the throat.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the throat next week. So if
Yeah.
that's something you guys are interested in, join us at 9 a.m. next Wednesday, and Hartwell and I will go through that briefly for you. And we thank you today for joining. If you would like to go deeper into your design, Hartwell does offer counseling sessions with his human design as well as the readings. So you can give us a call here, 587-596-3333. You can do them via Zoom or in person or by phone. But we'd be happy to be of service to you. I know Hartwell loves diving deep into this stuff with people. So with that, we'll sign off and say God bless, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye-bye.